It is time for a new beginning. Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play, and today I am finally using my Jane Davenport sketchbook that I designed the cover for months ago probably. Cover designed 1/2022. Okay, so it was, at least 10 months ago that I designed the cover, but it took me that long to finish my recent sketchbook. That sketchbook tour is up on the channel now if you want to go watch that so you can see what I did in that one. And now I am ready to design the first page of this sketchbook. This is a Jane Davenport art journal, and I am super excited. It's a mixed media art journal. It's a little bit larger than it's probably like twice as large as the sketchbook that I just finished. So it's going to be interesting, but I'm really excited to start and to at least get the first page done and kind of set the tone a little bit for the sketchbook. I think I'm picturing something a little bit sky themed, obviously, because I'm a sky girl, and something with succulents and maybe some crystals. I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit, like spiritual about it, I guess. And I'm definitely going to work mixed media. I want to use some watercolor and probably some colored pencils and some marker just to kind of get a feel for how well this paper is going to handle mixed media. So let's get started. Okay, so I decided to tackle this cover page much like I do any other sketchbook piece, and that is by jumping right in and praying. I had a general idea of what I wanted. I knew that I wanted succulents and crystals, and I knew that I wanted lots of beautiful, cool colors offset by a few warm colors, and a nice mottled kind of blue background that could be reminiscent of a sky without too many details to make it actually look like a sky. So I had a general vision in my mind, but I didn't have any sketches or anything like that drawn up. I didn't even really look at any references. The only reference I used was my own previous colored pencil drawing of succulents. And that was just so I could, have an idea of how to draw succulents again. I went through and kind of decided I just wanted to do a border because I knew I wanted to have writing in the middle. And I'm just using a regular Bic mechanical pencil. And I should say any of the materials you see here, none of the companies are involved in this video, and it is not sponsored. It's just the materials that I felt like using. And then because I really suck at lettering, I went into Microsoft Word, found a font I liked, typed it up, and printed it out. And it's going to say it's time for a new beginning because, of course, this is the first page of a sketchbook, so it is a new beginning. Lots of adventures await us, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. And then I went through, because I didn't want to kind of like lose the lettering once I started using watercolor, I went through with a polychromos colored pencil and just kind of outlined it so that my lettering would stay there. The rest of it, I was confident I'd be able to freehand really well back in, but of course, as I said, I suck at lettering. So, and then I just went through, I'm using my Holbein watercolors and doing kind of some base coats, very sloppy, very messy, because I do plan on using some line work in the future to clean things up. So I'm just kind of figuring out what kind of color scheme I want and, just having a fun time. But mainly I just wanted to see how well this handled watercolor, and it handled it pretty well. I was able to lift and, to a degree, and it had some beautiful textures in there, which is something I love about watercolor. And so I was happy with how the paper handled the amount of water I used. And I think that it's going to be great later on if I decide to use more watercolor in other future pieces. And then I decided, all right, I am done playing with watercolors. Let's bring in the markers, because that's always the true test. Now, I use water-based markers because they're light fast. Of course, in my sketchbook, I'm a little bit more lenient. I don't always use light fast materials in sketchbooks, but these are the markers that I have on hand. And so I decided to come in with my Pitt Artist Pens by Faber-Castell and do like the main detailing of the piece. And I was pretty happy with how well these blended out. Water-based markers by nature don't blend out very easily, and they will tear up paper. They will eat right through paper. And let me tell you, these didn't do that here. Now, obviously, they're not the smoothest blends. It's not going to be. But the fact that the paper didn't pill and tear up, I was so excited about that. And of course, I'm not going to hammer down on it. I was being light-handed, as you should be when it comes to using markers. But I did a good amount of layering, and it didn't budge the paper the way I was worried about. So that's test number 2. Chef's kiss. Perfect. So excited that I will be able to use my Pitt pens with very little trouble in this sketchbook. And I'm just coming through and doing some fun details. And I did not have any reference for my crystals. They're a little janky. They're all right, though. They're still powerful crystals. They will still bring lots and lots of beauty to the world, or at least to my world. Okay, I'm just going with it. But yeah, so I didn't have a reference for that. I just kind of had a design in my mind, and it has turned out to be quite an asymmetrical page because I just went with it. And overall, though, I'm pretty happy with the composition. I really wanted to frame it. I didn't want the succulents to look exactly the same in the corners. I didn't want, because nature is not perfect. Crystals are not perfect. Succulents are not perfect. And so I was okay with that. I just wanted to sit here and have a good time. And now I'm coming through with a gel pen and testing it out to see if it works, and it worked. And so I will be bringing that back in later on to do some fun details, get those shimmers and shines and highlights on there. And it definitely helps clean things up a little bit because I am a 3-year-old coloring out of the lines today, folks, as you can see. But I knew it would all come together. So I just tried to relax and have a good time. One thing is, markers tend to be really dark. I kind of missed the subtle hues that I had with the watercolor, but I don't know, at the same time, the boldness of markers ends up working too. So, especially when I came in to do some detailing. And I'm kind of just going through, and it's kind of, it's the same routine. I had my watercolors on the bottom, and then I'm coming in and doing the shading and blending out with lighter colors with the markers. I tried to keep some lighting in mind. It's obviously all imaginary, and so I tried to keep it in mind when I was doing the highlights and shadows on the crystals, though that didn't end up being perfect either. That is okay. I was really happy with the color scheme I chose. It's mostly purples, teals, and some greens and pinks. And they blended all really, really well together. I did end up using a little bit of yellow as well in the greenest of green succulents just to kind of blend things out a little bit. And I apologize that the top and bottom are cut off a little. I wanted to have it zoomed in enough so you could see what I was doing, or mostly see what I was doing. And so it kind of cut off the top and bottom, but you're not really missing much there. It's just some little tiny crystals, and you'll see that later. And it definitely, that gel pen worked really well. I'll try to link everything in the description below. I think it's the Uniball Signo, I think is what the gel pen is. And then I came in with my colored pencils. I have some Polychromos, I have some Luminance and Holbein, and I think maybe a Prismacolor, and I just kind of grabbed a variety in the colors that I needed. And I decided to go through and do an outline using a dark purple in the Polychromos. And that really brought things together in those succulents and the crystals. And then for the green ones, I came through with like a mid-green. And I believe that one might have been a Holbein. Yes, I think that, yes, that one's a Holbein. And that worked really well as well. And I love the way it looks. I love that pop. I knew I wanted to keep it illustrative and colorful and just happy. And yeah. It's almost like a succulent / rock garden. It just makes me happy to look at. And that's really what you want in your first page of your sketchbook. You want a page that's going to make you happy and make you feel creative and inspire you and make you want to keep going. Definitely something inspirational. Again, I'm still just going through and doing those outlines. I'm really, really pleased with how well this paper held up. It's fantastic for mixed media. I mean, it's supposed to be, but I'm definitely happy because there's a lot of sketchbooks that advertise that they're mixed media and they're not. And then coming back through with my Pitt pens again to do the lettering, I wanted to do a nice little gradient rainbow look with all the colors that I've already used in the rest of the piece, so it's still tied together. Super fun. It just makes me happy. And I plan on using this sketchbook in very much the same way that I used my other one, a place to play, a place to explore different media and be a little bit more adventurous and illustrative and abstract. And so I think that this piece illustrates that very well. And then I signed it, and I also put a start and a finish. And I'm going to put the date of me filming it on there for the start date. And then I came through with a like navy Pitt pen. I don't know if that's the exact color. It's a fine liner, and outlined my lettering. Make that pop a little bit more. And put my little start date there. And then I tore the tape off, and boy, was I so relieved that it did not tear the paper. I used regular artist tape, low tack. And then some final details on the lettering with my gel pen. Okay, here it is, folks, the finished cover page for my new sketchbook. I'm really excited with how it came out. I love the illustrative, like, I don't know, fun, colorful look that I came up with. Definitely what I was envisioning for this page, and now the dreaded first page is done. So for first impressions, I was really impressed with how well this paper handled mixed media, which of course it's a mixed media sketchbook. It's to be expected. I started off with my watercolor, and the paper did not buckle that bad. And then I used my water-based markers on top, and still it handled it really well. I was able to blend really well as you can with water-based markers. Then I came on top with some colored pencil and some gel pen for detail. Had no trouble layering. Super, super impressed with this paper. And it handled the tape really well. It didn't tear up the paper. Very, very, very impressed with that. And on top of it, it didn't show through. None of the watercolor or water-based markers bled through the paper. There's a little bit of indentation even on the next page where I was a little heavy-handed with the colored pencil. But other than that, it held up so well, so I'm very excited to see where this goes. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned to see future pieces done in this. I want to try to get more regular with my sketchbook, but again, I'm not going to put any extra pressure on myself because this is going to be a place to play, explore, and have a good time. So you will see more videos that feature this sketchbook in the future. But until then, I'm very happy with this start. Okay, so I will see you next week. You have a great day. Bye. If you found value in this video, please feel free to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and share so others can see it as well. Thank you.